Bibles here tonight? Okay, Romans 13, first 5 verses. When someone comes into my department, if they want to be a law enforcement officer, whether it's through my department or another department, thank you, ma'am. Well, I need a razor to get the hair off my tongue. I had these young people come in and want to be police officers. I bring them into my office, I sit them down. You know what the first thing I ask them? Are you crazy? Why do you want to be a police officer? And then I get into aspirin and ask them low down. But then I talk to them. Where's your heart? If they tell me, oh, I want to carry a gun, I want to be in these high-speed chases, it's not for them. Okay? Police work is a good job. It's more than that. It's a career. It's more than that. It's a calling with biblical implications. Okay? Biblical implications. I'm going to have a preacher here, because I'm not very good at reading out loud, to read this first scripture. And I'm going to give you my interpretation of how it reflects on me as a police officer. And you keep in mind, you may have a different interpretation of this. This is the way God interpreted it to me. And this is what I tell these people that come in. This is what you need to read. I don't read it to them. I let them go home and read it. I stir it up. But this is our doctrine. This is what gives me the authority as a police officer. Of course, it's statute, it's constitution, it's ordinances, it's law. But this is what gives me my authority as a police officer. Bishop, can you read those first few verses for me?
Yes. Chief asked me to read from the New Living Translation, Romans chapter 13, verses 1 through 5. Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. The authorities are God's servants, sent for your good. But if you are doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants, sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So you must submit to them, not only to avoid punishment, but also to keep a clear conscience.
Let's start at my level as a police officer. Okay? I must submit to God's authority. I must submit to the people I answer to. Okay? And let's start at my level and let's go up. First thing is I have a boss man, city manager. Okay? I have to answer to him. I have to respect him. If he comes and calls me in on something, I don't sit there and say, hey, you don't tell me how to do my job. I know my job. I say, yes, sir, and I'll listen. I answer to him. I also answer to the court system. If I get out of hand or something like that, the court's going to call me to it. The legislature, they make rules, they make laws that I am governed by. I have to listen to them. Okay? And then we got the government in Washington. And the President of the United States, okay, they set forth laws. I have to submit to their authority because they were put there just like I, by who? God. God. Okay, remember that. But you said us, that leads to the highest authority of all. Okay, I'm not talking about the divine authority. Who is the highest authority of all in this country? We, the people. We, the people. If I go out there and do something wrong against the law, I have to answer to you. You are my boss. Okay? I started on my level. Now let's go to the people. The primary subject for our talk tonight is how do we desensitize a very volatile, possible situation? What does the scripture say? We submit to the authority. It's just a matter of respect, which goes both ways. Now, think about law enforcement officers. Came across some interesting statistics today. There's roughly 670,000 law enforcement officers in this country. You know how many people are population is? About 313 million people. That's 2.5 law enforcement officers for every 1,000 people in the United States. Okay? That's less than 0.22%. I won't go into statistics because I'm not real good with numbers or anything about how many complaints and things like that exist. But did you know the police officer has a better record than the clergy of the United States? Believe it or not, as far as complaints are concerned, or illicit or illegal behavior. But you see where our doctrine comes in Romans 13. I tell people, live it, learn it, know it. That's what gives me my authority. If I do wrong, it's bad enough I have to answer to you. I have to answer to God. Now, this is so important. Who wrote Romans? Paul. And boy, was he an oppressor in his day. You heard the old slave saying, struck me blind by lightning, that's where that comes from. But someone else gave the same message, and that's Peter. Bishop?
Pastor Toby said he wanted to read.
Please do.
1 Peter? Yeah. 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 13 through 17. Submit yourself to the Lord's sake, every human institution, whether to a king as the one in authority, or to governors as sent by him for the punishment of evildoers and the praise of those who do right. For such is the will of God, that by doing right you may silence the ignorance of foolish men, acts of free men, and do not use your freedom as a covering for evil, but use it as a bond slave of God. Honor all people, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king.
I really like verse 16. Peter, 2,000 years ago? Man, he was talking about the United States today. He was talking about us today. I love verse 16. For you are free, yet you are God's slaves. So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. What's his name? He played in Persons of Interest. He also played Jesus in the movie The Passion of the Christ. Have you ever heard his experiences filming that? He almost died. He got pneumonia, dislocated joint, so forth. He made an interesting statement in the reflection in verse 16. We are in a free country. We're free to do what we ought, not what we want to. That's very important. So you see, we must submit to the authorities. I have to submit to my authorities, and I must show them respect. My superiors must submit to their authorities, and the ultimate earthly authorities, we the people. We the people. You too must submit to the authorities. That's what keeps our civilization, our society civil. We have our problems. There's the bad law enforcement officers. But we do not define ourselves by the food. It's so easy to do, and it goes in many directions.